In this episode, we do some minor work on the rear 8.8, including a new pinion seal. That is, if I know what I'm doing. Welcome to the channel. My name is Grant Tommy. This is Straight Six Fan, where I like to focus on budget-minded, relatable, creative builds. It's what I call offbeat hot rodding, and the offbeat hot rod is Trac Lok 8.8 again today. We will be, so the goal here is to get the 8.8 back out of the car and to try to start taking care of some of the little things on the 8.8. And I'm going to warn you, I've got a rant coming up. Rant might be a little strong, I don't know. But rest assured, I will leave either down in the description or I will do some sort of subtitle text down here. Once that rant starts, I will show you what time you can skip to in the video to avoid all of that. Just because I don't want to lose viewership. So, but first things first, let's get that 8.8 right back out of the car. The 8.8 is out, and when I say little things, what we're hoping to do today is revise the Mark 7 mounts. If you remember from when I put it in that video, we talked about the shock mounts. Just going to go ahead and swap those out and make life easier on ourselves. Take the Mark 7 mount out in favor of the Fairmont style mounts. So we'll do that. It does need a new pinion seal. And so I figure in order to take that out, of course, we gotta get something to stop the carrier from spinning. So I'm gonna take the rear diff cover off, drain the fluid, because we're gonna do fluid change anyway. I'm gonna get started on the lower shock mount removal. Okay, so this rant that I've been talking about. First off, let me use. Okay. Now I know what side I'm going on. So here's what it's all about. I'm struggling with motivation right now on this car, and it's not necessarily because I don't want to get things done. I do. I'm motivated to work, but it's those wheels. Past Tuesday would have been marked the 2-week anniversary of me reaching out to the place, the salvage yard or auto reseller, auto parts wholesaler, whatever you want to call them. It's a salvage yard where you don't go and pull the stuff. They do. You know, they are on the car-part network, online network. And I kind of wonder if I need a washer. These things. No, they're okay. Anyway, I reached out to them. Like I said, it would have been 2 weeks ago, last Tuesday. So this Tuesday will mark 3 weeks. They basically said, I told them the situation that the wheels weren't going to work for my project car, and just asking, can I return these in exchange for Crown Vic wheels? And at the time, they only had 2 in stock. And the guy was basically like, well, I'm gonna have to talk to my manager about that. You know, I was just thinking, you know, if the answer was no, I'd just get the quick, simple no really fast. And I didn't. So it gave me hope, whatever. Then, of course, you know, we had my Route 66 vacation, and did that, and so I get back last week. I call him again on Tuesday, and same thing. He's like, you know, I dealt with a very specific salesman. I still have my paperwork from the fall, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna have to ask my manager. I'll call you back. Yada yada. I don't get a call back the next morning, so I forget. So I call back again the third time, And he's like, oh yeah, hey, sorry, my manager actually, and you know, it's not that I don't believe him, I do. Man, I didn't realize my manager was sick and had a doctor's appointment or something. And so again, like through all this, I'm just like, man, I just want to know if it is or isn't a possibility. And every time I call, you know, I'll either get put on hold for a long time, or the other time was, you know, like a customer came up, so the guy kind of like, hey, can you hold on a second, you know, and I can hear him talking, yada yada. No big deal. Like, it's any of these one things I can tolerate, because as long as I still have hope that I can get my money back on the Charger wheels that don't fit, that's gonna be great for the budget, right? So anyway, third time I call him back, he's like, hey man, I'm sorry, if you don't hear back from me tomorrow by a certain time, call me back. Or anyway, all these times they like are just really poor at two things. One, just following up and calling me back when they say they will. I mean, if they don't say they will, I'm not going to hold them to that. But the other thing was like I could never get that far into the conversation to really like get down to details to talk about how this deal might work out, because they never would just come out and say it is or isn't a reality. I mean, finally on Friday, like I flat out asked them, I said, so, I mean, is this even a thing or is it not? Maybe it was earlier, I don't know. And they said, yeah, I think basically the salesman I'm working with is like, I'm going to get you, usually we would charge you 20% restocking, but since you're buying something from us again, I'm going to try to get that waived. So like, this is great news, but we never really get into the details of like how we're going to make this all happen, because I knew this whole time they only had 2 wheels in stock and I had 4 to return, and it's in a town 40 some miles away from me. I had even like planned my work week out to where I could take off early on Friday so I could drive there. But anyway, the way that it lands on Friday is basically the guy wants to search and hunt down 4 wheels for me, which is great, but doesn't want me to come in until he has all 4. And I was like, hey, I would be willing to drive all that way to get 2 of them, because I wanted to mock them up today, and I wanted to make sure that this was exactly where I wanted to go. And so I guess that's where we circle right back around to the motivation thing is, and this is something that I just have to get over myself, is I'm always wanting to, like, I have in my head like the way I want it to happen, and the process, or like the pattern, the steps, and then when it doesn't, it just throws me off, and I'm like, well shoot, the whole goal was to get the wheels and you know, kind of mock that up, so then that way I could be on my way with getting tires wrapped on them and all that stuff, and it just kind of interrupted my flow. So I just feel like today's not going to be as productive, because I kind of got to jump around in steps from where I want it to be. But first world problems, I guess. I'll get back to work. Thank you guys for listening, or if you skipped ahead, I was happy to give you that option. But let's get these shock mounts. There we are, very quickly. You can see the difference in the style between the two. Very, very easy, but probably going to save some heartache later. never had the pleasure of smelling rear end differential fluid, but I always hear how disgusting it smells on all these videos I've watched, so I guess you'll be along for the ride for me for my first time. Okay, yeah, I can. Yep, I'm getting it now. At first it wasn't too bad, but it's kind of got a little like almost battery acid kind of smell to it. Ugh. Now I'm no expert, and I don't know what used rear end oil should look like, but this doesn't really look that bad. It's still kind of got a caramel color to it, so that's probably good news that when we open her up for real, we'll hopefully everything should be in good shape. So no metal shavings yet. Don't see anything chipped off. Pretty dang clean, so that's good. Although, you know, they say the third member is the hardest or the strongest one, so kind of hard to frag these things, or I guess depends upon what business you're in. Maybe it's easy to frag them, but we're gonna go ahead and get the inside cleaned out, hit it with some carbon cleaner, scrape off the old RTV here, and get it ready for the next go around. But just curious, question, leave your comment below. Do you guys prefer when working with rear ends? Are you more of just do RTV, because that's what it looks like this was previously, or I've ordered a gasket and I was thinking of doing both, just putting a little RTV on the gasket just to kind of hold it in place more or less, and then seal it up that way. Also, the diff bolts, a lot of them had RTV around it. Is that something you guys would do? Let me know in the comments below. But anyway, I'm gonna get to cleaning this up. Got it cleaned up pretty well. Now, Scotch-Brite may not have been the best idea, as I was probably throwing shards and chunks as I was cleaning this up. So I'm gonna have to spray this down again with just clean out the carrier and everything really well. Before we go taking the pinion nut off, what we're going to do real fast is count the threads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 exposed. And I'm going to mark this nut in relationship to the flange as well. So that way, when we go to screwing it back on, since when you set up a rear end, the pinion itself and the ring gear, like, there's very precise, very close tolerances. You know, we're talking thousandths of an inch and preloads and all that stuff. So we want to get that to return as much as possible. So with my scribe here, we are going to, let's see, what's the best way we want to do this? We're going to come in here right at the one of the points of the nut. Make a mark back here, and then come up on the actual flange. So we know we want to get that all to line later. We're going to double check our count one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 threads. Now we've stuffed a rag in the ring gear, kind of let it run up to the pinion. That's going to hold this in place while I try to back off the pinion. An 1 1/6 seems to be the proper size here. So just with a little patience, we will be shortly getting this thing out. Now, after some tugging, I was fortunate enough to, it just popped right off. Some people end up needing a gear pulley or puller here. So anyway, now we have the pinion seal exposed, and you can see plenty of oil on this side of the seal already. With the screwdriver, I started wedging it in around the old seal and began to just quickly work my way around the entire thing. Now that it's time to put the new seal on, so we're first just going to kind of test fit it. It's going to do just fine. Now we need something that's going to provide constant pressure as we tap it in, to try to go in as evenly as possible. Best thing I could find is my brake caliper. Just so happens to be the right size to kind of hit right up on the flange. So my neighbor Mark stopped by. He saw me kind of struggling, so he offered to. We started trying to come up with solutions, and he took this 2x4 back to his place and cut out this hole for the pinion seal, and we got it on, and looks great. So we used Mark's half 2x4 here to get this flange on the rest of the way, and before we did that though, we aligned it with our ticks. Remember our ticks? I first took the nut to try to figure out where is it going to start threading on, and tried to get the, assuming I'm going to make hole turns every time, to make sure that we've got this tick in the right spot. But before we go and thread this on, let's go get some thread locker. And it probably wouldn't hurt to clean everything up again on the inside. I'm going to clean this flange later. If I would have been thinking about it right, I would have cleaned the flange first before I took the nut off and made the marks then. But I'm just going to clean off the threads here one more time and just inside the flange. So I freaked out there for a second. Of course, the rag had to spin it back in the reverse way from I did earlier, since we're tightening now. But as I was trying to get the rag sucked up in the top side of the diff, this just wouldn't turn the wheels forward. I could kind of feel it slipping. I was like, oh great, did I screw that up? But really it was just because I had the yoke tilted up. It was just gravity was doing enough to not have it in the right spot, so we just kind of dropped the diff, and we are tightening it up now. Oh, we just went past 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this is probably it. This one should do it. That was 4, almost 5. So here's the deal. I realized I probably should have made not only a mark here, but also here that related somewhere to up here, and also on here, because through the process of removing everything, if I twisted the axle any bit, that would have changed any one constraint. So as a result, here's where I ended up with. My 2 tick marks are here and here. Now I'm barely exposing 5 threads, and it makes me think I need to keep going, but I'm just a little scared right now to do so. So I'm going to take this to a buddy of mine's house who knows what he's doing, see if we can get some gear marking oil or paint, see how well it's patterning on the ring and the pinion. I'm guessing though at least, I don't know, I need to go at least be 180 degrees to this, I don't know. And it may just be, maybe I need to just trust my marks. It may need to just be all the way around here, but consider this a lesson learned. Like I said, I'm just a little scared to go further and go to that point of no return without consulting someone who knows what they're doing. So that's going to do it for this episode. Unfortunately, not the ending I wanted, but you know what? I knew this all along. This was going to be part of this project, was just learning. Honestly, I've gotten to a point where I'm beyond my own knowledge. So I'll be interested to hear what you guys have to say in the comments. Be nice. But it's also, I'm also at that point where I haven't ruined anything yet either, so we're good. I just need to kind of, you know, it's just that point of the night where I need to clean the garage up, I need to get inside, edit this thing, so it's up and ready to go regardless. So anyway, we'll just end with reminder that the Car Guy and Six Van show has rebooted, and we are on Thursday nights, and this week it is an old car auto guys channel, so we'll leave a info card up over here if you don't know how to get there. So 7 o'clock Central, 8 Eastern, 9 Atlantic, 2 p.m. Hawaii time. Also, if you want to support the channel, there's always a way to do that by buying a shirt. And you can either get straight Six Van Pistons tee or 3060s 198 Slant 6 inspired blueprint tee. There's a link to my Spreadshirt store below, so go check that out. Products you saw in today's episode, I guess it's just one, that Pinion seal. I'll leave a link to one of those as well. But I guess let's just leave with like, comment, share, subscribe. I don't care which one you do, as long as you do one. That definitely helps me out. That'll do it for this episode. Until next time, peace out.